propelled me into this great adventure is economic inequality and job loss. And you know, we've seen jobs flying out of the United States for the past few decades. And it's obvious to me that this district has been hit harder than just about any congressional district in the United States. And there's some basic statistics that spell this out. You know, when I was a boy, when I was about 10 years old, 2/3 of our population was considered middle class. That's what, I was told, made us a great nation. And I believe that. It separated us from the other nations of the world, our strong middle class. But today, less than half our population is considered middle class. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because of policies coming out of Washington, D.C. The gap between the wealthy in this country and the middle class has been getting wider and wider now for about 15 years. I want to go to D.C. to fight against those kinds of policies, to fight for the middle class, to bring jobs back to America, and to get rid of this unbelievable economic inequality. That, in a few sentences, is what propelled me to run. Now, are there other issues that are very compelling? Absolutely. But that was the main one that propelled me.
Since you only have 2 minutes, I'm not going to worry about the 1 minute. I'll just hold up 30 seconds. Is that all right?
Go ahead.
The fundamental thing that got me involved in running for this office is the same thing that's propelled me throughout life. It's concern for the dignity of every person, and the fear today that the dignity, the political institutions we have, the economic institutions we have are undermining the dignity of hard-working people, and we're not responding to the needs of the American people. For the same thing, Steve points right, there's massively unacceptable and unsustainable inequality. Now, I'm not new to this. I've spent my life as a activist, beginning in the civil rights movement, which I still relate to strongly. I've spent my life as a scholar, as an expert who served on 2 presidential commissions and was on Mr. Obama's transition advisory group to the Social Security Administration. I've worked on economic security and employment my whole life. And the thing that I've done that I'm most proud of is, yes, indeed, I stopped cuts to Social Security through the organization that I put together. A lot of us did it together, but it was my idea. I'm a fighter. I want to fight for those same things, and there are many other things as well. And that's what motivates me, whether or not I'm in Congress.
Thank you. The reason I'm running for Congress is my experience here in this district and my own personal story. I've been fighting hard for the people of this district for the last 12 years, working in Senator Kirsten Gillibrand's regional office and Mayor Matt Driscoll's office. I've really been rolling up my sleeves and getting things done for the people here, working with our veterans to help connect them to local job opportunities, working with our small businesses to help them cut through red tape, working with our seniors to help them avoid financial scams and financial fraud. I want to bring that experience with me. I understand the challenges that we face here, but I also know the potential, and I want to continue to fight hard for the people of this district. The other reason that I'm really motivated to run for Congress and be a representative of people here in the 24th district is because of my personal story. I was born and raised here in Syracuse. I graduated from Syracuse University. And after I graduated from college, I was actually waiting tables for a living, and my job did not come with health care or sick time. So when I became pregnant with my son, Adrian, I was forced to rely on Medicaid, and actually had to quit my job a few days before my son was born and go on food stamps and WIC to keep us healthy. It was shortly after that that I got the job in Mayor Matt Driscoll's office and really began to build my career in public service. But my story and my experience is not a unique story or a unique experience, but it's a perspective that is not represented in Congress. How many members of Congress know what it's like to have to use the programs that they're voting on? How many members of Congress know what it's like to be unemployed or underemployed? So I want to take my ideas, my perspective, and my experience to Congress and truly represent the real people of this district. Thank you.
Our next question is, the Route 81 viaduct needs to be replaced or repaired in the next few years. Federal officials and local electeds have been weighing in for at least 3 years on the various plans. There's been multiple listening sessions, but there seems to be little consensus. Since the project will be funded using largely federal funds, which of the proposals do you support and why? We're going to start with Eric.
I support turning on the microphone before I speak. I support the creation of a broad byway through the city. I think it's the only viable way that helps affect the city in terms of moving communities together. I support the idea that in addition to that, we have a planning process where state government is listening carefully to citizens. I was witnessing that on the south side, where one of the meetings talked about the worry about Martin Luther King School District it was an off-ramp either on the viaduct or the boulevard, and that's been taken off the table. So I think the process is working. I think the boulevard is going to be the best thing for our city and our community.
Next we'll go with Colleen.
Thanks. We have an opportunity right now to re-envision and rethink this community. But I think there's a number of options right now on the table, and we can't actually make a decision until we have all the analysis and the data completed to decide what is best for this community. I know that the draft IES statement will be due in December, and there'll be another public comment period on that. But until we decide how this is going to affect our street grids and affect our community, I don't think we have all of the information available to us to make the decision. I'll add, when the highway was built in the 1950s, I mean, did it provide the economic development opportunities? Did it provide opportunities for our communities in general? Was it the benefit that we thought it was going to be? I think these are the things that we have to think about when we make the decision of what we're going to do for the next 50, 75, 100 years. We have to be bold, we have to be visionary, and we have to really take into account every aspect. But the bottom line is this decision has to be bottom up. It cannot be top down. We have to make sure that the members of this community decide what's best for this community, and it's not coming from leaders who don't have any connection to this area. So I think, once we have more information at our fingertips, we can figure out what the best plan is for this district.
Well, it's interesting as we go through these debates, we learn about each other's positions. And I'll tell you, I'm a little confused by Colleen's answer, because we had a forum a week ago, and this same question was asked, and Eric and I unequivocally answered the question. We both stated our position, and interestingly enough, we were both in favor of a boulevard. And Colleen refused to answer the question. She said, I'm going to leave it to others to decide that. But then yesterday we were in a debate on television, and she said she was in favor of a boulevard. But then today, she's back to not answering the question. So I don't know where she stands, but I can tell you this. When I'm asked a question, I'm going to give you an answer. I'm going to tell you where I stand. And I think a boulevard is the sound and reasonable way to go. The highway, as it is now, divides the city. It hurts the city. It hurts the civic community of the city, and we need to get rid of it. Now, it might make it a bit more difficult to commute into the city. I think that's a worthwhile sacrifice. And quite frankly, if it makes more people move into the city, that's a good thing, because the city is the heart of this district, and we need it to be healthy, and we need a healthy tax base. My daughter's a teacher in the Syracuse City School District, and she tells me all the time, we need a healthy tax base in the city for those schools to flourish. So if building a boulevard will not only make this city nicer and have more of a sense of community, but it'll increase the tax base, and it's a reasonable priced solution. Compared to a tunnel, we're not doing a big dig here. They did that in Boston. So my answer is a boulevard.
Colleen, would you like an opportunity to respond?
I do think the boulevard is a great option. I think all the options, we have to take a look at. I don't think I've wavered from my position. As I said last night on the debate, I said we need to look at the data, we need to look at the analysis of then decide from there. And should we go with the boulevard? Could we go with the boulevard? Sure, let's figure out what the decision is after all of the public comment. And, further, I would add, as the only person up here who actually lives in the city of Syracuse, this is something that affects me personally, and something that I care about and want to make sure that we make the right decision, but we have to make sure we have all of the data first.
I was gonna add that, in truth, Colleen, and I like you, that's not what you said last night. We had a 1 second, it's on TV, we can look at it. It's very important that we be clear about the positions on things like that, and that we lead. We listen, but we also have to have positions on critically important public policy issues.
Okay, changing gears. Since the Citizens United case opened the doors to unlimited spending by secretive super PACs, a few wealthy individuals have been spending millions and millions to influence our elections. You all agree that was a bad decision, and all support a constitutional change if necessary to overturn that decision. But even before Citizens United, people with money had outsized influence on the process. Very few constituents will get as many calls and meetings as someone with a history of giving the maximum donation. What would you propose to make sure that those who have the least get the attention they deserve from our democracy? You can start this one with Colleen. Deacon.
I absolutely agree. Citizens United has been a terrible decision, and we have to get money out of politics. We have to get the dirty money, the special interests, and those